Alon, Wasalan, you with the nasty pastor, and I'm back with another chapter read from out of Ramses, Volume 1, Series 1, The Son of Light. We get ready to dive into chapter 23 this week, and in the last reading, I pointed out a lot of things about how that particular part of that chapter of this book, of this man's history, a lot of the characters was gathered. You get what I'm saying? And that main part, I haven't went on, extra read it early, read these chapters early. Like I said, I do this organically. You got what I'm saying? I don't proofread it. The only thing I do for each chapter is see how many pages it is so I know how many parts I will have. But we ain't gonna take too much time with all this talking, with this long intro. We're gonna dive on into chapter 23. Ammonite refused to give up. Come on now. Ammonite refused to give up his status as private secretary to Ramses. The royal scribe opened doors for him. You get that? You get that position he was in. That could excel him, honestly speaking, if not being the heir of the throne, but he's an advisor. You get what I'm saying? Which means the heir of the throne comes to him for consultation. How should I do this? When should I do this? Is this the right thing to do? And once inside, he knew how to make friends. Contacts in several government departments were soon helping him find information. He was able to check the list of ink manufacturers and the names of their owners. As Queen Tua had discovered earlier, the documents concerning the suspect factory had mysteriously disappeared. At an impasse, Ammonite hit on a different, less direct method, identifying merchants who dealt with the royal scribes and referring to the list of property and their names, hoping that this would lead back to the North Side factory. Days of tedious research ended in utter frustration. Only one approach remained: a systematic search of the waste dumps, beginning with the one where he had nearly died. Before committing important documents to papyrus, a conscientious scribe wrote a draft on a scrap of limestone. Eventually, it would be discarded in a pit with the thousands of others used in official business. There was no guarantee that such a draft existed for the deed to the abandoned factory. Nevertheless, Ammonite began devoting 2 hours a day to the search, refusing to consider the odds of succeeding. Now let me say this to you right here, and I want to speak to you detectives of any police department. I'm not going to get into the federal government, but I'm going to get into you detectives in any department. You have a lot of cold cases. You get what I'm saying? A lot of cold cases that, the commissioner, which leads into your mayor, which leads into your governor, which leads into your senator, which leads into your congressperson. They want these things solved. You get it solved. Here is a routine. I don't know if this is what you do or not. You get what I'm saying? I'm not a detective. You get what I'm saying? I don't know what you do. But this man is putting in 2 hours a day on basically a cold case. Ramses II is not dead, but there are some things that happened to Ramses that Tua, which is the queen at this time of Kemet, of ancient Egypt, of Upper Africa, want investigated, want answers. You get what I'm saying? Want answers. 2 hours a day. 2 hours a day. I don't know what y'all doing. You get what I'm saying? I don't know. And I'm not going to keep on ridiculing you about a job that I don't know what you're doing. You feel what I'm saying? What you're doing. But here's a method, if you're not doing it, to go ahead on approach. And 2 hours sitting in your office, that ain't going to get it. Get in the streets. You get what I'm saying? You don't even have to ask for information. All you have to do is backtrack your steps and look at every possible reason, every possible outcome, and your answer should lay somewhere. Your answer should lay somewhere. I said the Pharaoh disapproved of Moses. The brooding Hebrew was a bad influence. Each time he visited Ramses grew moody. Her solution was to lead the prince on a dizzying round of social events while avoiding any further mention of marriage. Before he knew what was happening, the prince was bouncing from one mansion, garden party, society ball to the next, like any idle young nobleman leaving his private secretary in charge of business. Now, peep this out. You understand why it was so easy? If we reflect on the movie Exodus, do you understand now why it was so easy for Ramses II? And I'm going to just say young Ramses because I get tired of that Ramses II mess. But young Ramses had no faith in Moses telling him the truth. And what he did to make Moses tell the truth was threaten to cut Moses' sister. That was Moses' sister or that was Moses' mother. However it go, Moses found out the truth about that woman, and he knew that woman was his mother, that woman was his sister. And he didn't want his sister's hand to get cut off. You get what I'm saying? So he told the truth. You get me now? You get me? But do you understand why this man reacted in the way he reacted? Because there is something he already felt as a kid that won't right. You get me? That won't right. Won't right at all. And I'm not saying Moses wasn't right. You get me? But when you're how to put it, I'm a Kenite. You understand what I'm saying? You are a Hebrew, a Jew. And we have Jews enslaved, but you is in my world being raised as my brother by my father. Come on now. But there's something wrong because when you ask the question, who is that man's mama? No one can answer that. Is this really your son, your biological son? The answer is no. So believe me when I tell you, the point I'm trying to make to you is that you get signs. I don't care if the sign is off. I don't care if when I say the sign is off, I mean that Ramses had an evil in him. You understand what I'm saying? But that evil in Ramses gave him a sign to say, you know something? Watch that. Watch that right there. You get it? Watch that. That ain't going to help you. Nah, that is going to go against you when you need that to be with you. Where we at? While avoiding any further mention of marriage, before he knew what was happening, the prince was bouncing from one mansion garden party, society ball to the next, like any idle young nobleman leaving his private secretary in charge of business. Egypt was a dream come true, a garden of delights, a bountiful mother. There was a wealth of happiness to be found in the shade of a palm tree, the honeyed flesh of a date, the sighing wind, the beauty of the lotus, and the scent of the lily. Add to all that the passion of a woman in love, and you approach perfection. I thought she had finally won Ramses' heart and mind. His spirits were high. His verve was matchless. In and out of bed, they rode on a wave of pleasure. Watcher concentrated on educating his palate
with the help of some of the city's finest chefs. It seemed as though Seti's two sons were set on their respective paths. Shinar would be a statesman, Ramses a social lion. I said the Pharaoh was quite content with this arrangement. One morning she woke to find Ramses missing. Without even doing her face, she ran anxiously out to the garden and called her lover. When there was no answer, she grew frantic. Finally, she found him, sitting near the well, meditating by a bed of irises. "What's wrong?" she asked. "You gave me such a fright. I can tell something's on your mind," she said, kneeling beside him. "I'm not cut out for the life you want me to live. That can't be. Look how happy we are. It's not the kind of happiness I need. Don't ask too much of life. It will turn against you." You get that? Don't ask too much of life, because life will bite you in the hand. You don't understand that, right? Once again, I'm going to say this to you because this is how I process it. You get me? I'm not going to keep repeating the same sin and asking whom I pray to forgive me. I'm not going to do that. That's asking for too much. If I can catch myself, I'm going to only do it one time. And if I know I'm sinning, you get what I'm saying? If I know I'm sinning, I'm supposed to fight that sin the next time around and not give in. Let's continue. Since the truce with the Hittites, the Pharaoh was no longer under fire. There was general agreement that Seti had been wise to avoid a wider war with an uncertain outcome, even if the odds seems to favor the Egyptian army. Shinar's propaganda campaign had failed to convince anyone other than himself that he had played a decisive role in the conflict. According to the ranking officers, the king's sons had excelled at watching from the sidelines. Pharaoh listened and worked. We're going to end this reading right there. Even the Pharaoh listened. You get me? Even the Pharaoh listened. Now, what was our issue? What was our problem? We weren't even pharaohs, kings, nor gods. We had no understanding of that, right? But what was our problem in our teenage years where we wouldn't listen? We're seeing the examples of what don't work. We're seeing the examples of what do work. What was our problem? It is a curse within the African American black community that we have not shook, we have not shaped, we have not understood how, as a whole, to teach our babies to listen. Spanking them don't get it, because that make them rebellious. You get me? That make them rebellious. For real, for real. I'm going to say this to you once again, you know what I mean? Even with my biological kids, even with my son-in-laws, every action that was done by them did not want me to put a belt on them. Did not want me to raise my voice and curse at them. Did not want me to say, you can't go outside, you can't look at TV, you can't do this, you can't do that. Sometimes a nice talking, a good understanding of why are you doing this can stop a lot of things. Anyway, you've been with the nasty pastor. I'm out and I love you.